Hola, Norte Americanos y Amigos. Greg Patten, host of the Daily Spit Take, and we're going to follow up a little bit after the state of play we talked about yesterday because we said we would probably talk about it, and we are going to talk about it. We played the demo for Yakuza Like a Pirate, Like a Dragon Pirate Hawaii. It has a lot going for it. I think the Like a Dragon series has been as good as Yakuza has been. I think Zero was the pinnacle of what I've played of the Kiryu saga. I'm playing Kiwami right now. The Man Who Erased His Name was fantastic. I think going in that James Bond route gave them the freedom to go in a different route here with Majima and putting him as a pirate. And I think everything that Infinite Wealth did with establishing Hawaii, Honolulu as a locale for this series, the first time I jumped in the demo, I felt right at home. I felt like I had been there before. I knew exactly where things were. I knew where the karaoke bar was. They give you a little child, basically, to give you directions around in the demo if you don't know. I only had to use it to go back to the ship when I was ready to start ship combat. I think what was really interesting that they did with this demo was they gave you I would say they gave you like 15% of Honolulu. They didn't give you the whole island, but they wanted you to go around and explore, and you found things right away like bounty hunters. Like, it's always been a thing in Yakuza games to be walking down the street, find a guy who has a bounty on him and fight him. The two styles with Mad Dog and the seashore fight, I think the two styles are really great. I think Mad Dog is exactly what you'd expect from Majima. But the thing I want to point out that I really think Sea Dog separates is the combos feel much more fluid. Now, there are only two difficulties in the demo. You can play basically where combat is more of a one-button situation. It's called action style. And then there is an actual normal difficulty to add a challenge. I jumped between both of them just to see if there was any difference. I couldn't really find that much of a difference in the demo because most of the guys you were fighting, if they were listed as a 5-fist, they would go 1 to 5 fist of who was toughest. Majority of guys I found, I couldn't find anybody more than a 3. And I guess if I had to take a shot, because Infinite Wealth kind of got going around chapter 3 is when you got to the island and they let you run around the island. They still had story-based stuff before the whole island opened up. And I feel like this was like chapter 3, chapter 4, somewhere in that range where Majima now already has a pirate crew. He's got a ship. He just hits Honolulu for the first time, so you only have like 15% of the area. So you can go and do karaoke songs. You could not do the crazy taxi style bike food delivery game. That was not where it usually is on the island. Mostly you could just run and get into fights. You could change clothes. You could buy items. Almost everybody sold the exact same group of items. There was no variation. I saw the traditional, they brought back the social links where you would wave at somebody and you would go, so-and-so, Bill knows Majima, Tim knows Majima. Like, it's just this wave thing. The thing that was really interesting is the segue was back, but the segue was so much more customizable. Now, I'm sure you'll have to earn some of the stuff in the game, but in the demo, they had so much stuff unlocked already where you were able to put like flags on it. You were able to put handrails on it. It just looked like a completely different segue. The one that Ichiban was riding around all over Honolulu and Infinite Wealth was so bland, and this was like, oh, we got to let you customize the rims. We got to let you customize the color. We got the paint scheme. The customization for Majima was outstanding for a demo. There were so many options. There were at least 20 outfits. There were at least 15 hats. There were 7 hairstyles. There were 6 patches. You have a little tiger companion that is like a pup that trails in the background. Now, they didn't compete in any combat. Between Mad Dog and Sea Dog, Sea Dog has the summon ability that you got used to in the Like a Dragon games and Infinite Wealth. where he summons a great white shark. And the sharks just attack the enemy. So I was saving that for like the big fights. I think that it was really cool that it was so much more cinematic, some of the finishers, than I think even, this goes all the way back to like Yakuza 6, to remember the last time they were this cinematic. The items were there to pick up. But the one big takeaway that I went into this, I was just completely blown away. The speed of Majima's combos. The ability to actually quick step backwards and watch him get behind an enemy, and he almost has like an automatic break their neck move. The ability to get out of the way just felt so much better than Kiryu and Ichiban. Ichiban, it's positioning, it's the Fire Emblem, move everybody around, set up your hits, set up your combos with turn-based. Kiryu had his moments in Infinite Wealth where he got to do like old school combos, but nothing was as fast as Majima in Pirate Yakuza. Like, he is moving at a speed I don't think I've ever seen a Yakuza character move. It is so quick, and that was my biggest takeaway from the 2 hours I spent with this demo, is this is a much faster game. For people who think Kiryu's a little too big and lumbering and dragon style, this is like if you picked the quick pink mode, or if you were playing Like a Dragon Ishin and you were picking only the quick swords. Like there is no slowdown whatsoever. The ability to toss your swords, the ability to use your gun in combo. I've done more air juggling with Majima than I've ever done with Kiryu in this demo. It was very impressive from that standpoint because it felt like a new way to play, but it was still great. It was still Yakuza. It was still hilarious. And I mean, the names of the enemies, like you would usually see Yakuza, like it was like jerks. It was a-holes. Like they were just referring to these people who come up on the street and start talking to you. The other part of the game, once you run around Honolulu, you spend like maybe an hour running around and you can decide how much time you want to spend. I went looking for bounty guys just to take on and fight. There is an island called Madlantis. And Madlantis is where the pirates hang out. Now, they automatically in the demo transport you to your pirate ship. And they start to kind of lay out. I saw there was a pirate's cabin, captain's quarters. I couldn't do anything in the demo with it. It just was there. When you get to the island, this is very reminiscent of what you saw in The Man Who Erased His Name, when Kiryu went to this hidden island that was nothing but gambling and women, and it was just all over the place of like, this is all illegal stuff. This is all mafia stuff, mafioso lifestyle. Madlantis looks like the most reused assets from a Yakuza game I've seen. I couldn't believe that they put the women basically in Playboy bunny costumes and were just having them walk around like and just say weird things like the first one is free. Like there's a creepy guy trying to look at someone. Like this is the only part of the demo I'm like, this could hurt it in Fantasy Critic. You could see some critics ding it for that. But I think overall what you saw was something similar to what The Man Who Erased His Name was, with the casinos, and there's blackjack to play, there's poker to play. There's an all-new cannonball, baseball-style home run derby game where you're hitting exploding barrels and opening treasure chests. That was a lot of fun. That's available. But of course, the reason you're going to Madlantis is you want to know, is the ship combat good? With Skull and Bones out there, we know that people have shown that they can screw this up. You've played Assassin's Creed Rogue. You've played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I'm guessing. You know what good ship combat feels like. And I'm happy to say, Madlantis was really good. The ability to use machine guns from the front, cannons from the side, and you have to line it up. You have to line up left or right, because the two buttons, left bumper and right bumper, are both weapons, but they have to be lined up exactly to use them. You have to be facing the ship. Once you do enough damage, it is exactly what you would hope for, which is Yakuza has you board the ship. Now, my favorite part of The Man Who Erased His Name was there were these death battle royale battles that you could find where you could just fight over and over, and you would build your crew up and your crew's leveling would go up. And it was that sim management that you got like from the Hostess Club in Zero. It was that same kind of, okay, just one more round. The same reason people fell in love in Infinite Wealth with the Pokemon game, with the Dokdo Island. People love that stuff. They can just play until their heart's content with that. They can keep playing it even after the story portion is over. This has that same vibe. You boarded ships, and instead of your crewmates fighting, they had special abilities that they had ranked up. They also rank up on how well were they firing the cannons, how well were they defending the ship, how well were their repairs. You have the ability to revive crewmates if they go down in a ship battle. What stuck out to me was if you took out the captain of the opposing ship, they no longer had the special abilities that the crew members would get from. So everything about boarding the ship is different crew members are going to synergize what their specials are. Now, there weren't too many on display in the demo. Now, according to when I looked it up, because I fought a couple battles, but you can fight up to 4 times you have to go back and repeat battles. You can't go any past 4 levels. So I did 3 levels, and that was enough for me. I was like, I've got it. This Coliseum battles with the ships are going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. So that was enough for me. But if you're interested, you can do it 4 times and then replay the same battles over and over. I thought they knocked it out of the park by doing something a little different. I figured it was just going to be board the ship, attack the crew members, get them down, and then win. I didn't see the rewards in the demo because they're there. It shows you that you're gaining materials, but they didn't show the actual rewards in the demo. So I can't say how profitable will it be to invest in building up your ship. I'm guessing it'll be worth it, knowing how, if you look at anything in the Yakuza universe that they put a mini game in, the more time you invest in it, the better the rewards are. Whether it's pocket racing, whether it's steel, whether it's the batting cages, whether it's bowling, there's always a story element to it, and there's always a reward at the end of it. So I think Madlandis is going to have that. You had a couple characters you could talk to in Madlandis, but the thing that stuck out that was really just, I was hoping would get better, you fight people in these tiny docks. Like, it looks like you're going to knock these people over into the water, and you're fighting like 6 dudes in a tiny dock area. Anytime you came into like one of the main characters in the demo you're trying to reach is this Lucas guy you meet at a bar, and that's when the demo ends. It basically, the demo's like, thanks for playing after you defeat Lucas. He had like 8 dudes with him. Now, the way they have your character currently set up, whether it's with Mad Dog or if it's with Sea Dog in terms of your fighting style, you have the ability to do all kinds of things. Like, you have the ability to do clones that disappear and they're fighting phantoms. You have the ability to take the swords and throw them across the map. You have the ability to use you have like almost like a scorpion, like get over here, like pull mechanic. And that's also used to find items because you can see them floating in the sky. And if you just throw it, and you can also fish that way. You didn't even have to have a fishing rod back in Honolulu. And I was like, wow, you can just fish all day with this. I think they've done a lot of things that have impressed me with this series before. Infinite Wealth was my game of the year because I thought it told an incredible story. I thought it had gameplay for days. The only thing I think people really deserve to criticize that game is it gets into itself a little too much. Maybe it doesn't spend time with the right characters when you want to. Maybe it throws the main plot away a little too early just to get to the, let's just say, the Beatles reunion without spoiling it. I would say from the standpoint of what Yakuza in Hawaii looks like it's trying to do is it's trying to give Majima his start. Like, they gave Ichiban so much in Like a Dragon to say, we want you to like this guy. I think they're trying just as much with Majima. I think the fact that he probably doesn't know anything about his past is going to play into this, the amnesia of just waking up on a beach. I have high hopes for this, and it's a week away. It's my most anticipated game, just the way Infinite Wealth was, because these games deliver. Like, there's nothing you can do but criticize maybe the monetization moves. Like last time, putting New Game Plus behind a season pass was just kind of, that was shady for like $20. Like to actually play it. Hopefully one day that thing will get less than $10 and people can play New Game Plus and Infinite Wealth without having to have that if they don't want the dungeon. But I think they've done a lot with this game, and they've already said New Game Plus is free. They're not going to do that again. I think they've learned their lessons, but I think they've also taken this in a direction that maybe we weren't thinking about, which is how can we speed up the combat? How can we make this this might turn out to be the most accessible Yakuza game. I could see it. I think the one thing that will hurt them with the casual game buyer is the dialogue's all in Japanese. There is no English voice acting in the demo. You have subtitles in every language and accessibility options galore. But the problem is that if everything's in Japanese, I mean, I'm used to playing these games in Japanese. It doesn't affect me. I've never listened to the American actors in the Yakuza games. I don't have a problem with it, but I think that could hurt getting other people, because it's the typical argument of, oh, I'm not going to read a book when I'm playing a video game. I just want to hear the dialogue and not look at subtitles. I get it. I still don't think that's going to be enough to hurt it. I think this is a 90 to 92 on OpenCritic. I think it's going to do quite well. The only thing that could take it down to like an 86 to 88, in my opinion, is probably going to be the subtitles. Maybe the women thing is not going to be that great. I haven't seen many female characters, and the only ones I've seen were dressed up as objects. That could hurt it a little bit. And I think the only other thing is if there's fatigue. Franchise fatigue is a thing. Like, if people are like, oh God, another Yakuza, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Like, that's the only way, because they ask so much to commit time to these games. And I know when you listen to Game of the Year podcast, the Yakuza games typically don't make it into the top 10. They're like always on the outside there. And sometimes, every so often, one will get in, like a Dragon got in. Infinite Wealth got in for like people who like JRPGs. I get it. But because the commitment is so much in these games, I'm wondering if this is going to be like The Man Who Erased His Name, where it's going to be a 30-hour instead of a 85-hour main quest like Infinite Wealth was, like 70 hours that Like a Dragon was. I could see this being a 40, 50-hour game, and that's plenty. I think the main story will be there for people to just breeze through. But I think for the people who wanted a good pirate combat game since Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Rogue, I think you might have it. I think you might actually find some depth in it. There's not enough in the demo to say how deep it goes, but the combat just from the start was good. And that's all we can base this on. I still think it's going to be one of the best games of the year. I would be curious what you think. If you want to talk about it in the comments below, let me know. But that's going to wrap it up for the Daily Spit Take today. I'm totally over the moon how good. I'm going to try to do the Elden Ring Night Rain network test. But the problem is my location, they may not allow me to log into that. I don't have a way to get around that. And I looked, and my country is currently not on the list of countries allowed to participate in the network test. So as long as my console doesn't forget where I am, I might be able to get some time with the network test. Otherwise, I'm just going to see how it goes for people, and I'll have opinion. I do want to point out, by the way, as I'm wrapping up, Astrobot announced 5 new levels today. Game just keeps giving. That's what we want. We want these games that deliver, and I think a lot of people are really happy with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 right now, and I think Avowed got decent reviews. It didn't get the best reviews, but I think it falls into the Outer Worlds, as it's going to be a game that a lot of people love, and other people go, this is a good RPG. But that will wrap it up for my breakdown on the demo for Yakuza Like a Dragon in Hawaii, a pirate in Hawaii. Like, the title is just so convoluted, but it doesn't matter. It's a great game so far, what I've played, and I look forward to playing more of it. That'll wrap it up. I've been Greg Patten. This has been the Daily Spit Take. Keep your vibration up. And as always, I'd like to dedicate this episode to my mom, who's recovering from stage 3 lung cancer, and we will talk again shortly. Take care.